It comes back to the point. Rafalski, the shot, knocked down and touchdown. Themselves and the Penguins have won the Stanley Cup.
Any chance they get? The fight clock is brought to you by Mobile.
What's going on, Tanimals? It's another episode of the Tanndemonium Sports Show here on Vendetta Sports Media, and we are streaming live exclusively on Twitch. And of course, that's not Jackson Law to my left, your right. That's Cayne Lander. Jackson Law has a touch of not COVID, but bronchitis, which probably feels I've had bronchitis, and I know that sucks ass. So wishing Jackson Law a speedy recovery. Maybe if he wasn't in the trenches of the COD war zone, maybe he wouldn't have bronchitis. But no, Jackson has to play Call of Duty and get sick. So now I'm stuck with Cayne. Cayne Lander.
Come on, you love to have it here, Brian. You know it.
Not after the day I've been having. I'm in the mood. I'm in a fighting mood today, to be honest. I'm really moody today. Today things did not really go the way I wanted them to. So I'm so far behind on everything right now. So I'm just like in a mood. Like if we started talking like Patriots Steelers, Trey would probably get the confrontation that he's like longing for.
I mean, it's not much of an argument. It's Patriots all the way.
No, you know what? The Patriots can go to hell, okay? You know what? All of the state of Massachusetts, with the exception of Worcester, because that's where New Kids on the Block were from, you know, because I can't have anything bad happen to Donnie, Mark, or you know what? Even still, Ronnie, Bobby, Ricky, and Mike, you know, from New Edition. So as long as like Roxbury and Worcester are okay, then I don't care about the state of Massachusetts. I especially don't care about Cheat Team 2000 to 2018. I could care less about Bill Belichick. He can kiss my entire black ass.
Okay, let me tell you something about that. First of all, if you're not cheating, you're not trying to win. Because if you think everybody in the NFL isn't cheating a little bit, you're completely wrong.
So it's okay. So it's okay because
else.
Everyone does it. It's okay because everyone does it. That makes it all a-okay.
Yeah.
If you've got to cheat, then you shouldn't even be playing the damn game. So you know what? Let's just disband the NFL. Let's just burn it to the ground. Burn it!
Better.
Burn it to death!
But let me tell you something else about the Patriots.
And the fires of Mordor, Cayne! The fires of Mordor!
Let me tell you something about the Patriots. We are fucking back. Mac Jones is the truth. Okay? We had a great free agency period, a great draft.
You about to get the hell off my show.
Man,
we're about to get the hell. We're back.
Again.
You know
Dolphins,
what?
Bills, Jets.
Mac Jones, number one, Mac Jones can kiss every single hair on my ass. Let the kid play a couple of snaps, and then, we're back. He's a damn rookie, all right? Number one, Mac Jones ain't Peyton Manning, okay? Even Peyton Manning wasn't Peyton Manning his rookie year, okay? So how's about before you fillet the kid with a condom made out of the fineness of Dom Perignon, let him actually get a season of the NFL under his damn belt first. How about that? Is that okay, offensive lineman?
No. Well, first of all, I'm a D lineman. I'll take offense to that. I'm a D lineman. I'm actually an athlete. Not that offensive linemen aren't athletes either. I just like talk some shit. But I think Mac Jones is the truth. And I'm going to come on this show when he throws 30 touchdowns this year.
And I didn't say he wasn't gonna. I said let
you
the
did.
Kid
you said he wasn't the truth.
I said let the guy actually play a season.
Peyton Manning didn't throw 30 touchdowns in his first season.
No, he didn't. And you know what? I'll even say right now, Mac Jones isn't going to throw 30 touchdowns this season. He's not.
All right, we'll see.
He might throw 20.
We'll see.
We will see. I could care, you know what? Because I could care less about Bill Belichick. I could care less about Captain Handjob owner himself, who just because he's got money, he's got to pay for it. I'm sorry. Just because you got money don't mean you need to be paying for it. Why don't you get it on your charm and personality? Oh, wait, he has none. Ugh. Patriots. Yeah, see, and Trey's in here. Trey's probably sitting there right now like, good. Let the hate run through.
Oh, man. He's like, Trey's definitely sitting there and be like, what can I put on TikTok? Like,
Trey is seriously, Trey is licking his chops like he's going into a Thai freaking fun house, and he's told that the fun is on the house. So Trey's just like, eh. Oh,
thanks, Josh. I do have the best takes. Thank you.
No, you really don't. You know what? Next time Jefferson Legal is sick, I'm just going to do the show by myself because I could care less. Peter Godber, first round, 3rd overall pick in the CFL draft, coming in here looking like what's the guy's name? He played Riggs in the TV show version of Lethal Weapon. What's his name again? Clayne Crawford. Shout out to you, looking like Clayne Crawford's more muscular twin brother.
Yeah, so I don't know who that is, but I assume it's a compliment, so I'll say thank you.
Yeah, he played. Were you aware that they did a TV show based on Lethal Weapon on Fox?
I don't even know what Lethal Weapon is, to be honest.
Yeah, I think that's past both our times here, Brian.
I was almost in a good mood. Now I'm just pissed off all over again. Oh, never mind. And now my compliment is just completely useless. So, yeah. Anyway, Peter, it's good to have you on the show today, even though you came. It should count against you that someone that I now hate more than anything because he wants to fillet Tom Brady and Bill Belichick at the same time, which is there's nothing wrong with that if that's what you're into. It's just because it's Bill Belichick and Tom Brady. I am getting too old for this shit, Jefferson Legal. Thank you. Wish Jefferson Legal wasn't sick. That stash is legendary, by the way. Like, I'm serious. Like, your mustache probably has more pancake sacks than the guy that sent the pancake blocks than the guy that's like next to you on the line. Am I right or am I wrong?
Man, Cayne knows this from going to St. Andrews. We went to an all-boys boarding school in just north of Toronto. You couldn't have facial hair. You couldn't have long hair. So now that I graduated, 8 years ago, I got to rock the stash. I have to.
Honestly, the only reason I don't have like a full like homeless man beard right now is because I was trying to trim my mustache and I fucked it up. So I was like, oh man, I have to shave the whole thing off. But usually
I've been there too.
You see guys leave SAC after not being able to grow facial hair for 5 years, and they come back and they literally look homeless. Like full beards.
It's like, yeah, I was the same way. I was a corrections officer for 3 years and I didn't wear facial hair because as a CO, you can't have your mustache past your top lip. I didn't like that look because I felt like I looked like a kitty diddler. I was like, well, I'm not going to have that look. So I just went clean face for over 3 years. And then as soon as I left that job, I was like, oh, we're getting the Peter Griffin, the bird living in the chin beard. And it was the most glorious facial hair I've ever facial haired.
Got to.
I do think Brian Tank could go twinsies full pit vibes.
I don't even know what that's supposed to mean.
Pit vipers look good on anybody.
All right, so Pete, you go by Peter or Pete?
Either's fine. I've been called everything in the dictionary,
Well, of course, you're a football player. We've all been called all kinds of different things. The coach loves you. He calls you son. If he hates you, he calls you insert derogatory term here. All right, so you went top 5 in the 2018 CFL draft, number 3 overall in the first round.
Mm-hmm.
That's not common. Offensive linemen don't tend to go in the top 5. It's always a position guy. It's a quarterback or it's a wide receiver. Rarely ever. I think the only offensive lineman, at least in the NFL, that I can think of that went in the top 5 was like Orlando Pace. And I don't even think he went top 5. Did he, Courtney? Can you look that up? But so
it's honestly way more common in the CFL. I think I've seen it. Yeah. I mean,
I'm going by what I know of the NFL. CFL, I really want to get into the CFL because I like the idea of 3 downs in a much larger field. And the fact that Warren Moon was like the greatest quarterback of all time up in the CFL. Like he makes Tom Brady look like he's a nobody. He makes Tom Brady look like Trent Dilfer. And I'm okay with that because Warren Moon. But all right, so you guys are saying that offensive lineman in the top 5 is relatively common now. So that's 2 compliments that are being just taken off the board.
Yeah. Here's the thing about the CFL. So in the Canadian Football League, there's a Canadian to American ratio. So there has to be 20 Canadians on each roster as well as 7 Canadian starters. So what CFL teams mostly do is they put 3 O-linemen as Canadians, usually the interior guys. They do 2 receivers and then 2 guys on defense. So it's a lot more common for an O-lineman to get drafted in the first round and high up because that's the Canadian position primarily or traditionally.
Gotcha. So that's why The Rock's football career just went nowhere, because there's just way too many Americans, and get back down south of the border. Nobody wants you here.
Yeah, I'm not sure why his career went south, but he was a D lineman, and D lineman in the CFL is traditionally an American position, and there are a lot of good D linemen in the CFL that have played 2 or 3 years in the NFL or played a high level of college football. So yeah, the competition is very, very tough,
very intense. And of course, Orlando Pace, our Courtney Don't Call a Plumber, has said that Orlando Pace was actually a first-round pick. I mean, a number 1 pick, which is wow.
Yes.
All right, but now, so is it safe to say then, because the CFL is it's got to be a more intense game than the NFL game, because it's a 200-yard field, it's a wider field, it's a longer field, it's only 3 downs, so your passing game is way more. There's more of your passing game. Is that safe to say for someone who's never gotten to even watch a down of CFL ball?
Yeah, so special teams and passing become way more important. Like what we have in Canada, we also have a rouge. So if you punt the ball in the end zone, that's 1 point. And then we have just little quirky rules like that in the Canadian game that's different from the American game. But what's so exciting is, since it's only 3 downs, if you run the ball on first down, you don't get a lot of yards. Everyone has to pass on the second down. Everyone knows you're passing. So at the end of the game, if there's not a lot of time left, there's really still a lot of time left. In the CFL, you can come back from a 14-point deficit within the last 2 minutes, just because you'll get the ball back twice if you can make them go 2 and out. So it's very exciting in that regard.
Gotcha. And of course, so then that explains why you need quality offensive linemen, so that, because now you can't afford to go, for only a 2-yard gain on first and, you guys don't go 1st and 10. You guys
first
start
and 10, yeah. But
you guys do go.
The D linemen have to line up a yard off the football too in the CFL.
Right. Well, see, what's crazy is that, but see, as a D lineman, and I think Cayne, you can back me up on this. That's still, I mean, while it does give the offensive lineman a little bit more time, but if you're a pretty solid defensive lineman, you're just getting 1 yard of steam to start drilling into the O lineman. So the O linemen in the CFL are even more so important to the offense, because, well, number one, you can't afford to only go for a 2-yard gain on a first down. A second and 7 is a lot more detrimental.
Yeah.
So the offensive linemen, those hogs have to really be churning forward.
Honestly, it's just different. Like, the technique is different too. And anything from like run fits to, pass rush or whatever. Like I did back in high school, we did a week where we went with Team Ontario down to Texas and, played the American game for a week. Basically, like, I guess like an all-star game, you could call it. And I definitely liked the you can sort of credit card the ball, like the no yard in the American game, just because, I don't know. I'm kind of undersized for a D lineman, so I kind of try to use my quickness and avoid more than I, would benefit from having that extra yard to like gather up steam, I guess. Like, even like in the university game, like let alone CFL, but even in like the university game, like me at like 6 feet tall and like 275 pounds, that extra yard isn't helping me against 6'5", 320 pound guard. Like, it's just, so for my skill set personally, I like, it's different. You just have to, I guess, like master it, and it's what works better for you. But it definitely isn't like a huge advantage, I'd say, to have like an extra yard. I guess it really depends on your skill set.
Your game. Yeah, it depends on your game. All right, so now, Pete, you went to Rice University in Texas.
Mm-hmm.
What's it like transitioning to the CFL from, because number one, Texas Texas, Florida, Pennsylvania, those are football states. Like, there ain't nothing else in these areas. And you can even throw Alabama into that as well. You know, a lot of the southern states. So what's it like going from a football heavy state in like Texas to now playing in the CFL? What's that like?
So Rice, although we are in Texas, it's traditionally a different school than probably what you're thinking of. I don't know how much you know about Rice, but Rice is the second smallest Division I school by people who attend it. We only have 4,000 undergrads, so it's very small. It's more of an academic-based school. Okay. So my experience playing college football was a little bit different than probably a lot of other schools. So Rice, we only had 10,000 people at our games, which is relatively very small for Division I football. We played in Conference USA, so we played against teams like North Texas and Marshall and FAU and FIU, which were all, every Division I team is you're going against a good D lineman every single week. And then the CFL, the game's a little bit different. So like Cayne was talking about with the linemen, we don't have those 350-pound D tackles that you may go against in college football, or 340 pounds. Everyone in the CFL has to be able to rush the passer because that's such an important game or part of the game where run stopping is not the same kind of premium like it is in the NCAA. So the game's a little bit different, as Cayne was saying. The pass rush moves are a little bit different. The timing is a little bit different. Playing Division I football and then playing CFL football, very, very good level of competition. The CFL has a lot of good players and a lot of players that could and should be playing on Sunday. So it was definitely a step up of competition, especially playing in Conference USA. And it's been a good transition. Obviously got hurt, so I've missed a lot of time in the CFL where I didn't get hurt at Rice, so I played in a lot of games. So I haven't got that true CFL experience yet, but hopefully this year, knock on wood, I stay healthy, and then I could probably give you more insight next year what it's like. But
well,
yeah.
If I may make a suggestion for your rehab, Mr. Pete, maybe a little bit of DDP yoga to help, limber up, stretch and strengthen muscles, ligaments, and tendons.
Yeah. No,
not to toot my own horn, but 162 pounds in a year, stretching and strengthening, just saying, yeah. It might help. But no, I mean, that's cool. Now, when you talk about the differences of the game and, being a step up in competition, besides quicker defensive linemen, because, you're not going up against, the Casey Hamptons of the world anymore. Mm-hmm. What's another one of the biggest challenges making the transition from American football to Canadian football?
Well, for me, at a school like Rice, we love to run the football. We ran the football probably 75% of the time and passed it 25% of the time. And in the CFL, that's flipped. So that was a big transition for me. I ran a run block a lot more in college than I did going into the CFL, and where in the CFL you pass block a lot more. So for me, it's just working on that pass blocking technique, working on my steps, my hands, everything like that. Where in college, the premium was on more run blocking in games. So
now explain to people who don't understand the differences between pass blocking techniques and run blocking techniques.
So on a run play, we're trying to move the D lineman off the football. So we're moving forward. We're using our hands. We're using our technique to move them back. We're pushing them back. And on pass plays, we have to kind of set back, and they have to work a move on us and get around us to get to the quarterback. So we're protecting our quarterback on pass plays, and on run plays, we are trying to open up holes for the running back.
Right. Because, I mean, the only reason why I say that is because anytime I've talked football with someone who, I'm a football fan, but they don't understand the intricacies, the ins and outs. Yeah. And I'll even, we'll actually come up with the blocking, we'll talk blocking schemes. Well, what's the difference? And it's like, oh, really? Yeah. So tell me a little bit about, because obviously, you get drafted to the CFL. What was that process like? Walk us through the draft process. Is it sort of like how they do it here, where instead of, being in like New York, you're in Ontario, you're like at a room at the Ontario Radisson?
No. Unfortunately, it's not like that. It's all done online. So they'll give you a call and they'll show some highlights from your college football, but you don't shake the hand of the commissioner. You don't get a jersey. It's nothing like that. You don't actually meet your teammates until that first day of training camp. It's a little bit different from the NFL's process. But basically, your season ends in November, December, depending on if you go to a bowl game. And a bowl game is just basically if you go 6-6 or above, you get to go to a bowl game and play an extra game. So then in January, you start training for pro day. And pro day, you have to do the 225 repo. You got to do your 40-yard dash. You got to do all that, all the testing drills, the broad jump, the vertical jump, all that stuff. So you have about 2 to 3 months to prepare for your pro day. In the meantime, you're prepping yourself for interview process, and you may talk to the odd team here and there just on a call. And then you have the CFL Combine where you interview with teams, just kind of like the NFL Combine, except the CFL Combine is a little bit different because you actually have one-on-ones with pads. And the NFL Combine doesn't have that. They have their Senior Bowl. We don't have like a Senior Bowl kind of. We have some for CIS, but it's not what the NCAA players mix. So it's hard to evaluate for them, different levels of competition. So they do one-on-ones at the Combine. And then from there, you interview with teams, you test, you do that process. You see if any NFL teams will give you a look. I got invited to a pro day for the Texans, but that was like 3 days. I was in and out. And then after that, you have the CFL draft, and then you move forward from there.
Gotcha.
So
Now,
you mentioned, Peter, sorry, I just had a –
No, go ahead.
You mentioned that it was the Texans that invited you to the pro day. Is it do those sort of pro day invites, do they kind of tend to be a little more local? Because, I mean, Houston would be – is Rice in Houston or close to Houston?
So the Texans invited me to their mini camp, but the Texans, there's two different. I got invited to a local workout, so that's kind of what you're talking about here. So every NFL team is allowed to work out players within, I think it's 50 miles of their facility without wasting a workout on them. So every NFL team has like 25 workouts with different NFL or different college players throughout the process. And then there's a local workout too. So I went to that local workout. I had a good workout. And then from there, I got invited to the mini camp, which is not just local players. It's all the other players and stuff. Yeah. So,
Sweet.
So what was the nature of, you said that you had gotten hurt. What was the nature of your injury, and what are you doing for rehab now?
So my injury is very unique, especially for an offensive lineman. It's not a traditional injury. So do you know what a sesamoid bone is? Or does anyone? Does Cayne know what a sesamoid bone is? No?
No.
Okay, Courtney knows. So I broke my sesamoid bone, which is a small bone in the foot, and I ruptured the tendon that runs through it. So basically my toe got stuck in the turf, and it got pulled back so far that pulled the tendon off my bone. So it's a very weird injury, very unique rehab. It's not a traditional ACL, and it was weird because not a lot of linemen really get this. I've never heard of another lineman getting this injury. So it was a unique process throughout the whole thing. So
you basically got super duper turf toe.
Essentially, yeah.
You know what? Honestly, when we're done with the show, all seriousness, we should talk, because I might be able to help you a little bit. I might be able to work with you a little bit.
Appreciate that. Yeah, that happened 2.5 years ago, and at this point, it's back to 100.
100.
Yeah.
Good.
We
Now,
last season because of COVID too, the CFL.
Right. I mean, hey, maybe then COVID wasn't all that bad.
No, it was terrible.
It was terrible.
Last year, yeah,
I'm trying to be glass half full guy. All right. I came in here all hot and angry. I'm trying to be chill now. So let me ask you this. As a football player, obviously you do want to compete on Sundays. What steps do you take maybe to get to that next point? Do you just go out there, ball out, and dominate, or are you maybe waiting on a phone call for them to, somebody to see tape?
So traditionally, how it's went in the CFL, and we've had a number of players over the last 5 to 10 years go to the NFL and play some significant snaps and games. So basically, you have to be, a very good CFL player, and the timing has to be right. You have to get it. Like, for example, there's a linebacker in the Philadelphia Eagles, Alex Singleton. He played in the CFL. He was a really good player. He was an all-star. He was, I think, most outstanding Canadian. Went to the Philadelphia Eagles. I think they had some. He got an opportunity to play and started in the NFL, and he was, a good Canadian player. So for me, I grew up a huge fan of the CFL. I grew up going to Argos games. For me, I'm so happy to play in the CFL. I'm so honored to play in the CFL. All I'm focused on right now is going to training camp and competing at the best of my ability. That other stuff's not my concern right now. But traditionally, CFL players have played in the CFL for a year, 2 years, 3 years. They're still relatively young. They play very well. And then that's when they get their opportunity in the NFL.
Well, you
know what? You said before too, like it's I feel like people who aren't, I guess, around CFL or like maybe in like college ball or university ball here, like I guess NFL fans, even in Canada, kind of like look down on it without really realizing that like there's some fucking studs in the CFL. So like the CFL is still very high level football.
Oh, I in no way, shape, or form wanted to imply that I thought it wasn't. I'm not impugning the CFL at all. Honestly, I wish to God that I would have even had the opportunity to play in the CFL. I played a season of semi-pro ball, and I got a concussion that was probably among my double digits. So it got to a point now where I need to be way more careful. So I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm done. I'm a case of a never had a chance to be, because I didn't. Number one, I'm undersized. I was an undersized defensive lineman, but I was just mean and scrappy and strong, and I had the low center of gravity. When I was younger, I was a power running back. And then I started getting injuries, getting hurt, playing mostly pickup games to try to get ready for football seasons, and kept getting hurt. Basically, my whole football career was snake bitten from the jump. Yeah. So that's my thing. So no, I've in no way, shape, or form wanted to even remotely, by asking that question, impugning the validity or the talent level of the CFL. Not at all. Because you look at guys like Doug Flutie, who was amazing in the CFL, and Warren Moon, who I can't go, like, Warren Moon was a personal favorite of mine because, he's a black quarterback when there weren't a lot of black quarterbacks getting the opportunity to play unless they were in an HBCU. So I at least now have a reason, since I'm going to be getting the new sports package, seeing if I can find some CFL games so I can watch my buddy Pete on the field. You guys play on Saturdays or Sundays?
So we play a lot of Friday night games, but we usually play
even better.
Yeah, we got Thursday night games, we got Friday night games. This is a very unique year for the CFL too, because our schedule is altered. Usually it's 18 games plus 2 preseason. This year it's 14 games. So everyone's played on different nights, and we're trying to make the schedule work. So it's going to be a interesting year, to say the least.
Now, an even more important question before we have to take a break: can you hook a brother up with a jersey?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'll have to see.
That's cool. Because you know what? You realize you would actually be my first real jersey. I've never owned an actual real sports jersey. Like, I've owned the knockoff jerseys. I've never had an actual real jersey except the one that I wore when I played ball.
Okay, let me ask you this. Where are you from in the States?
I live in Pittsburgh.
But
Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
What does the BC stand for? You know that?
Yeah, it's either British Columbia or Boston College.
British Columbia, yeah. Okay.
I was right the first time.
You have to use some gear now. Yeah, you actually know. Some Americans don't. When I say BC, they don't know what British Columbia is. So I had to make sure you knew.
Supernatural is probably my favorite. It's probably one of my favorite shows of all time.
It's the Supernatural
connection. Because they did a lot of filming of Supernatural in BC, and I liked the Grizzlies when they were in Vancouver. I thought it was awesome that there was Canadian basketball teams, because I've been to Ontario 4 times in my life and I loved it, but I always wanted to go to BC because I wanted to go to Seattle and then go into BC and check out Vancouver. Because I used to like the Canucks way back when. I was a Canucks fan back in the day.
Oh, cool.
So I love Canada. I love I love the culture in Ontario. I've been to London. I've been to Blenheim. I've been to Toronto. So I love Ontario. Like, if I actually had my choice, I'd probably be living in among the provinces up there somewhere.
It's beautiful. BC is very beautiful. I never had gone out here before I got drafted, and now I'm addicted to the mountains, to downtown Vancouver, Stanley Park, the ocean. It's really pretty out here.
That year must have been huge when a lot of the stuff you could do had to be like outside.
Yeah, no, it was great. the amount of waterfalls and mountains and stuff I explored this last 2 years it's been beautiful.
Yeah.
That sounds great, man. I definitely want to, get the opportunity to check out the game in full. Now, how can the casual football, I guess I'll call myself a casual fan. I've made a pledge to the boss that I'm going to start becoming a diehard again when it comes to sports. So how can a reemerging diehard sports fan find some CFL action on Thursday and Friday night lights?
So
are you guys streaming games online or?
Yeah, we have a deal with ESPN where they ESPN Plus, I think, has some of our games on it, and ESPN3 maybe has some games, but we have some games on ESPN. I think that's the easiest for Americans to get our games.
Man, if I was y'all, now you need to get up. What you need to do, and I'm playing Brian the agent here. I'm your unofficial agent here now.
Okay.
You need to get on the Players Association, right? And one of the first things you need to do when they start doing the collective bargaining is you say, look, we're on ESPN the Ocho or we're on nothing at all. Word. Yeah. And that's why you don't want me as your agent. Oh man. So Pete, it's great talking to you. I don't know how much time we have with you. If you want to hang out and talk after this break, because we're going to talk all kinds of other stuff. But if you got to go, that's great too. But it's definitely great having you on. I definitely want to talk to you again, maybe sometime during the season when you have time. Cayne can set that up since he's the booker of the show, and he'll run the times and everything by Courtney. But I definitely want to talk to you as you're going through the process of training camp and as we're getting into the season. Wishing you a ton of luck on not just your health but on the field. And hey, bring home a Grey Cup.
Thank you. Definitely, that's the goal every single year. So we got to do it for BC. The BC Lions have not won a Grey Cup since 2011, and I mean, obviously, every team going to camp. That's the goal. But yeah,
well, it's time to break the streak. I am a BC Lions fan now. Now I'm a BC Lions fan. That's my Canadian team, Cayne Lander. That's my team now. That's my Canadian.
Cayne, what's Cayne's team over there?
He's probably going to be rooting for. He's probably rooting for the CFL team that's the closest equivalent to the New England Patriots, just so I have to punch him in his pubes.
No, I've actually been an Argos fan, obviously, just being so close to Toronto. I've just seen so many games there, but I mean, I don't have any friends on Toronto. I have a friend on BC though, so I might have to make this here.
I mean, maybe Gregor and Gabe in a few years maybe they'll come out to BC. Maybe they'll go to Toronto. Who knows? Hopefully they'll be in the NFL, though.
Man, if one of those guys goes to BC, it's like, man, what can I do now?
Yeah.
But you know what? Definitely, Pete, hit me up, after the show or whatever. Because I think that maybe I might be able to help you out a little bit as well with. I mean, yeah, you're 100% now, but maybe a little bit of injury prevention and whatnot as well.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right. Pete Godber, offensive lineman, number 3 overall pick in the 2018 CFL draft for the BC Lions with us. And we're going to be talking to Pete, later on, definitely seeing how things are going. I want to check in, see how things are going. But we're going to be right back here on the Tanndemonium Sports Show here on Vendetta Sports Media. We are streaming live on Twitch. And make sure if you're into sports gambling, CFL season comes along, you want to throw a couple of ducats down on the lines there, go to monkeyknifefight.com. Put it down, and if you use our promo code Vendetta, they'll match you dollar for dollar up to $100. But we've already done it. We've already put that promo up, so I just wanted to say it again. But we'll be right back on the Tanndemonium Sports Show here on Vendetta Sports Media. The following is brought to you in partnership by Symbol. Symbol is a new sports marketplace where you can trade shares of professional teams like stocks. You love sports. You interested in fantasy sports without the weekly annoyance of fantasy league upkeep? Then Symbol's the app for you. With Symbol, fantasy sports is going to a whole other level. How it works is simple. You buy Symbol shares for your favorite sim teams on the app. When your sim team wins, you get automatic cash deposits, and you don't lose any money when they lose. That's it. So if you follow trends across football, basketball, and baseball, and you think your team is a sleeper, simply invest in your favorite sim teams on Simbull and watch your virtual portfolio prove you right or wrong. And if you want to get in on the action right away, Vendetta Sports Media's got you covered. Go to simbull.app/Vendetta and use our exclusive promo code Vendetta, and you'll get a $10 bonus when making your first deposit. Simbull, taking fantasy sports to a whole other level. All right, Cayne, I'm not mad at you anymore.
You're over it, eh?
For the moment, I can at least ignore enough to call a ceasefire in my attack, in my battleship style attack on you. Just because you brought a cool guy like Pete on the show, and now I'm a fan of the BC Lions. They need to start releasing Canadian Football League football games for me to start playing.
Yeah,
So
honestly, like I said before, I think it's such a shame that there's not more Americans who, especially people who are like, oh man, I miss like real football, like in the summer, like this Thursday night game, like Thursday night football, it sucks this week. So, well, you know what I mean? Like there's so many good opportunities to watch good football in the CFL. And I just think it's such a shame that more Americans don't know about it, because like they start playing regular season games like in like June, July. Me and my dad used to have season tickets to the Argos, and even though I was like going to school and like doing training camp like in early August and stuff, we still got to see, like I would still get to go to like sort of half those home games, like real home games. So I mean, if you guys are like missing football, maybe not this year because of COVID, but like in the future, if you guys are ever missing football, like during the summer or like during a weekday or whatever, like check out the CFL's like great football. If you're a little bit more into passing and stuff like that, rather than, you know, just watching the Tennessee Titans hand it off to Derrick Henry 45 times in a game, then take a look at the CFL. Take a look at my boy Peter Godber. Playing for the BC Lions.
See, what's crazy to me though, and we're gonna do a small transition, but I will say this. One thing I will say is that there's a lot less drama coming out of the CFL than there is coming out of the NFL. Like, you know, there's no Canadian Le'Veon Bell saying that he won't play for the Canadian Andy Reid. Although Andy Reid looks like he would be a Canadian walrus.
I'm pretty sure there's no walruses in Canada.
I'm sure there are.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure there are, Cayne.
Hey,
I am an extensive traveler of the world. I'm pretty sure I know what I'm talking about. If you don't have walruses, you at least have seals.
Oh, seals. Yeah.
Yeah,
sure.
exactly. They're the Andy Reids of the North.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it definitely, one thing I get from, because obviously like just playing in like I am obviously, you know, I've said this about a billion times on the show before, but I'm a current university football player. I'm going to my last year playing at Mount Allison University, and it's
go Raging Beavers.
A lot of buddies, like I have, you know, five or six guys that I played with at Mount Allison alone that went on and are playing are about to play at the next level or have played at the next level, and it's just such a grinder league. Like these guys, honestly, just they're not concerned about like, oh, I don't think I'm getting paid enough money. Which honestly, I like a lot, because every time, to be honest, every time I hear like Le'Veon Bell or like Dak Prescott complain about like how they're not getting paid enough, it's like, man, you're getting paid like minimum $500,000 a year to play football for a living. So that argument just it doesn't hold any water for me. Like it's just like, man, shut up, take your bag, play football, you'll get paid eventually.
Dude,
like,
if I could make the league minimum of any professional sport, I would take that so fast, and I would wave my towel harder than any bench warmer ever did.
Because I'll tell you what, I'll play professional football. I'll do it for goddamn free. Like I'll
as long as they pay for your health care, right?
Hey, it's all paid for up here. So
hey, there you go. I need to become Canadian. All right. So before we go into the NFL, because now I'm interested, how do I become a Canadian? Do I have to say a lot?
Yeah, I guess. Right. I don't know.
I guess, does this mean I have to be more polite and start apologizing more?
Oh no, there's some douchebags up here. That's a common misconception.
All right, cool.
Let me ask you this though. Have you ever had a Tim Hortons?
Yes, I have. I love Tim
Okay,
Hortons.
there you go.
I take Tim Hortons over Dunkin' Donuts any day of the week and twice on Sunday.
You might be Canadian already.
Yes.
You might be Canadian already.
I love Canada. I truly love Canada. Actually, the couple times that I went to Canada, I actually told my mother, I don't think I'm coming back, dude. I was like, I seriously don't think I'm coming back. I think I'm going to become an illegal in Canada.
I mean, this past year, it's been, I was telling Courtney a little bit, this past year and especially these past few weeks, I guess, have not been super ideal. It's kind of been a dark couple weeks, I think, in Canadian culture. But yeah, usually, I mean, on balance, pretty good place to be.
I'm all for it. Well, let's talk about a sport where the balance is shifted tremendously. And if that, Cayne, I'm talking about the NBA playoffs. None of our regular teams are in the finals. The only team that's won an NBA championship that's in the Eastern and Western conferences are the Milwaukee Bucks. And that was before I was even born, dude.
Mm-hmm.
I love this right now. I love this. I love the fact that it's not the standard LeBron coming in and blah, blah, blah. It's different people. New star. Devin Booker is arriving before our eyes, Cayne. And I love this.
Yeah, and I mean, I was talking to you guys a little bit before we started the show. One of the things that I hate about the NBA, and one of the reasons that honestly, when I started, getting into sports, it was kind of a shitty time to get into basketball, just because it was getting to the start of that era where it was like everybody knew who was going to win every year.
Yeah,
I have watched this season. I've watched a little bit more, but before this season, I'd probably watched a total of like 20 NBA games in my life. And it was like still every year, it's like I knew who was going to win. Mm-hmm. Like it was going to be whatever team LeBron was on, or it was going to be the Golden State Warriors. I don't know. It's nice to see the switch up. And honestly, Giannis is my boy, so I kind of want to see him get a ring here.
See, I would love to see Giannis v. Booker in the finals. And right about now, Phoenix is up 3-2. Game 6 is tomorrow night. What's your prediction on this? Because this is starting to turn into a series, ignoring the fact that Kawhi is starting some of his old crap that got him out of he left San Antonio because I don't like the medical staff and wham and all this stuff. So he's starting to do this now. Do you think this causes an issue for the Clippers?
I think it would be dumb to assume that it didn't cause an issue. Like, as much as those guys, I think they're the media and probably people around the NBA probably conflate how much it actually affects them, just because probably a lot of those guys like don't give a shit what Kawhi's saying about like the medical staff or the training staff or whatever. Like on every sports team, there's complaints, and depending on like when you move up the levels, you get more complaints and more complaints and more complaints. And guys don't care. And I think that the only way it will really affect the team is if like Kawhi's being a little bitch about it. And I'm not going to sit here and talk shit on Kawhi just because, I mean, I'm from, Toronto area. He brought my Raptors a ring.
Yeah,
like,
I was going to say, you better start showing some loyalty to your boy.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't think he's really going to do that. Honestly, I have a lot of respect for Kawhi. I think there's two camps in Toronto, and it's mostly just like, fuck Kawhi for leaving. Like that guy can, go lose every game for the rest of his career. And then there's the other side, which I'm on, where it's like, he brought us a ring. Like I kind of knew he was going to leave. Like,
yeah. When Damon Stoudemire left, y'all had every right to be upset. Yeah. Kawhi left. It's like, come on, man. At this point, he's a merc.
It was kind of like it wasn't like it was who's that coach who showed up, the football coach, Petrino. Was it Petrino who showed up to that press conference with the neck brace on? He got like a lifetime contract with Louisville or something like that. And he just I think it was went somewhere else. Like it wasn't like that. You kind of knew Kawhi was I
Yeah.
guess we're sitting there.
If somebody's going to stick with a team, they're going to let you know they're going to stick with the team.
Yeah, and like, I mean, Kawhi never said he was going to stay longer than a year, and honestly, he did pretty much all he could do. Like, he won us a ring, and so I have a lot of respect for Kawhi, but Devin Booker's so good at basketball, man.
He really is.
Good. Like,
and I really want to see Chris Paul get a ring too. I want to see Chris Paul get that elusive ring, and I want to see Devin Booker become the next big thing. I want to see Devin Booker cross up LeBron James and just hit jumpers in his grill. Like,
yeah, it's kind of looking like that, huh? Like, it's kind of looking like he's gonna be that guy. Like, it was funny. I saw, that meme where it's like, you're not that guy, pal. Trust me, you're not that guy. Like that one.
Yeah.
I saw someone like post that meme about like Devin Booker at the beginning of this series, and it was like, man, kind of looking like he is that guy.
He actually kind of is that dude. Yeah.
That is that guy. Like, but I mean, I wouldn't be surprised at all. That being said, though, that if the Clippers, take it to Game 7, but I wouldn't
either. Paul George went off the other night.
Yeah,
Paul George went off.
Again, I don't understand the disrespect on Paul George. I think he's still real good. He's in the NBA semifinals.
Yeah,
he's in the Western Conference Finals. I mean, so
he's there for a reason. He's there
at the end of the day. I could see them taking it to Game 7. Honestly, I don't know really enough about like the specific. Like, I'm not following the news, like who might be out, who this, who that, or whatever. Or the stats or anything
that's a Jefferson legal thing.
Yeah, but I mean, I wouldn't be surprised at all if LA wins the next game and then they take it to Game 7. But if you're asking me who I think the better team is and who I'd bet on, probably Phoenix. I don't think there's anybody in the NBA currently who's playing as good as Devin Booker is.
I agree. And real quick, what about this Hawks Bucks series is just, this is getting good. Trae Young is also becoming that guy.
Yeah. And see, here's the thing though. If Trae Young is actually not in for Game 4,
this Hawks team is done. It's a 3-1 lead.
It's a 3-1 lead, and then don't they go back to Milwaukee the next game too?
I believe so. Yeah.
So
the Hawks better get Trae Young a huge infusion of stem cells and God knows
shots or cortisone shots or whatever they do.
Yeah, whatever, because Giannis is a beast, and oh man, the fact, honestly, I'm surprised that it's only 2-1. Game 4 is tonight in Game 4 is tonight on TNT. So make sure you guys check that out. And we'll definitely be talking about that next week. Let's transition back to the Western Conference. Chauncey Billups has been named the 15th head coach of the Portland Trail.
A little charge back in 1998. Whatever. I really hope it's not a situation like that.
Right.
Because that would be deeply heartbreaking. But like I said, Damian Lillard, it's like I said, now it's not that they're just not helping you. It's kind of like the Aaron Rodgers situation too, which I believe we're going to talk about in a little bit here too. But
it depends because it depends on the time, but yeah.
Yeah. Now it's not just that they're not helping you. Now they're actively hurting you and making things harder for you, which I think is valid grounds to leave a team. And make no mistake, there would be some suitors for Damian Lillard to come and play on their basketball team.
Yeah. So let's go on to another little bit of beef. Kevin Durant and Scottie Pippen are beefing it out on social media. Pippen was pretty critical of how Kevin Durant was playing in that Game 7 against the Bucks. Honestly, I don't see what the issue was. He tried to carry that whole team. How many times did Michael Jordan do that? Tons. How many times did he have to do that? And but now Pippen is trying to say, quote, he needs to learn how to utilize his teams. He has to learn how to set up his teammates to be better. That's it. He's taking all the shots. You done played the whole game, bro. They've got guys physically wearing you down. You're going to lose. And of course, now Durant was the only guy on the team that was really in it. The rest of the team has essentially gone cold. Harden was shooting for crap. Joe Harris was struggling. I don't even think was Kyrie even in the game? But
Kyrie's been hurt, hasn't he?
Yeah, Kyrie's been hurt.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
But KD came back at Scottie Pippen, pulling some skeletons out of the Scottie Pippen closet. Didn't Scottie Pippen, this is from Kevin Durant, KD Trade 5. Didn't the great Scottie Pippen refuse to go in the game for the last second shot because he was in his feelings? His coach drew up a play for a better shooter. This guy Scott also wanted to enjoy his summer, so he chose to rehab during the season. Scottie Pippen, they followed Phil, not you. Whoo. KD is bringing out some receipts from back in the day. And here's the thing. People in glass houses, you shouldn't throw stones. I don't care who you are.
I said this to you before, and I'll stick by it.
All right.
I think KD is soft, super soft.
We're not talking about how soft he is.
No, I'm talking like not necessarily soft in terms of like gameplay, but like the guy's on a new team. Every year, the guy literally just chases who he thinks is going to win a championship.
But was he right or was he wrong?
He's about Scottie Pippen?
Yeah.
I mean, Scottie Pippen did do that, but I think there's a little bit more to the story.
No, Scottie Pippen was mad because the play was drawn up. It wasn't going to him. So he stayed out.
Scottie Pippen was also one of the greatest.
But that doesn't remove the fact that a play was drawn up and he got mad and he sat down. I don't recall Kevin Durant doing that. Now, here's the thing. I'm an old school basketball guy. 9 times out of 10, I'm taking the legend side. In my mind, Michael Jordan is way better than LeBron James, but Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is in his prime is better than both.
I'll start this by saying I think that the important question here is whether or not Scottie Pippen has, I guess, credibility to say that. And pulling out one example of a time that Scottie Pippen was a bad teammate, I think isn't really one time.
Technically two.
Why?
Rehabbing during the season. A lot of guys, unless you're actually straight up hurt, most guys either tough it out or they go on the injured list or blah, blah, blah. He was like, nah, I want to enjoy my summer. I mean, Scottie Pippen, now granted, keep in mind, and I will give you this. Scottie Pippen was kind of mad because he was one of the most underpaid players in the league for as good as he was.
Mm-hmm.
But when your team needs you,
yeah, I'm not going to make excuses for, that one time. It was super soft. I'm not like it was super shitty that he did that. I mean, yeah, there's some like salary politics going on there. Not with the, when he said
Jerry Krause was an asshole. Let's just be real.
Yeah, he was an asshole. Yeah, he was. I don't know why. There was 1,000 other better ways that he could have dealt with that situation.
Oh, absolutely. But so now you're still pro Scottie in this war. I just
don't really have a lot. Well, I have respect for Kevin Durant as a player in my limited basketball knowledge. What I don't like is seeing guys literally hop bandwagons in the league and then still not win a ring.
That's what LeBron does.
One ring? He's won one championship.
One. I know he won one with Golden State. He might have won 2 with them.
Right. Like it's just the kind of thing where it's like, man, why? He's essentially trying to bypass the whole like building a team stage and just go right to the best team and be like, oh, like I'm sick. I'm just going to go to the best team and I'm going to win a ring. And
so you're anti-LeBron as well then too, right? You're anti-LeBron too? Because LeBron does the same thing. LeBron calls his buddies to come and play on his teams with him. And he tries to have super teams built around him. So they both do the same thing. It's just KD will clap back at people on social media.
It's just kind of something I don't like with basketball in general. I don't like I said, if Kevin Durant and a bunch of other superstars decide they want to go play for, I don't know, the Utah Jazz, or they decide they want to go play for the Dallas Mavericks, or they decide that they want to go play for the San Antonio Spurs or something like that, like, who's going to win the championship every year. And I hate that about basketball. And it's different with football because, honestly, every year there's like a surprise. There's not a single person. Actually, with Tom Brady last year, there was probably a few people who said they would win the Super Bowl. But even as a Tom Brady fan, I didn't think the Bucs were going to win a Super Bowl this year. And you had no idea. And then the year before, like, everybody kind of suspected the Chiefs. Like, some people kind of suspect the Patriots sometimes. But by and large, you don't know who's going to win any given game or any given Super Bowl. And that's something that I love about the NFL. Whereas in basketball, I think it's, significantly less random. Not random. It's significantly less surprising when certain teams win. And I think Kevin Durant, honestly, contributes to that. And I think it's kind of why the NFL is now beating the NBA in terms of viewership, in terms of how much money they're making. It's why people think the NFL is a better league than the NBA.
See, you and I are on opposite sides of the playing field on that. And I'm going to tell you why. The NBA is looked at as the ultimate players league because the NBA players are able to full on express themselves as well as their stances on social justice and the like. The NFL blackballed a man for kneeling to bring awareness on police brutality.
Right.
The NFL has monetized and weaponized casual patriotism.
Yeah, that's. I mean, I didn't. You brought up a part of the argument that I wasn't really thinking about.
That's why I listen.
Yeah, no, I definitely.
But I will say this though. I get what you're saying, that this is a larger problem of the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
However, and I assume though that you're using Kevin Durant in the scenario because he's the topic of discussion.
Yeah, absolutely.
But because, like I said, LeBron James does the exact same thing. He's done this.
Kawhi. We just talked about he does the same thing.
Yeah, Kawhi does it too. You get the elite players,
mm-hmm.
and they try to this is why that I'm sort of not as much of a fan of basketball as I used to be, because there was a time where the good players, they wanted their own team. Michael Jordan wanted his team,
right,
and he wanted people for his team.
Mm-hmm.
He never would have called Charles Barkley and said, "Hey, come play for the Bulls." He damn sure wasn't calling Isaiah Thomas.
Yeah.
Super team, on one hand, I do get your point, but I think that all in all, though, the NBA is a more, I want to say, socially conscious team, because the NFL is just so clueless when it comes to social justice. They're so clueless when it comes to where we are as a country, when it comes to activism, where they don't want players using their platform for social justice.
Yeah, and what I don't understand is what is so different about the fans of the NFL? They push the NFL so much harder to sort of, I guess, like lash back, or at least that's what the NFL said. It was like the fans that were pushing and they were like boycotting and whatever, versus the NBA, where it seems like people love this. And speaking from the average person, I think the average person who watches, like, let's say a player kneeling or like talking about social justice or whatever, it's sort of like tacit approval in terms of like, I don't hate this, didn't really think about it, haven't really thought about it, but it's cool, it's good. If they're feeling that way, it's good they said it. Or people are like, yeah, it's awesome, They should be talking about that. And that was like one of the things I guess we talked about last week, like the NFL. I know we're sort of talking anti-NFL right now, but like so many players around the league and so many fans being so accepting of like Carl Nassib coming out of gay. It was like, I see that as like the average fan, I feel like, and I'm kind of like, it's pretty dope. Like, good for him. I hope that he wasn't, or I'm glad that he can finally, I guess, like live his truth in the context of football. And I'm trying to figure out what section or what
you want me to tell you what it is.
Cared about. Is it that more white people watch the NFL?
Yeah,
and more Southern white people?
Yes.
Yeah.
It is. Because here's the thing. Michael Sam was on an NFL roster.
Yeah.
And was openly gay. And Michael Sam, now granted, I said last week that he got cut and that was the big difference. And I'm not taking anything from Carl Nassib at all. And I don't want last week's talk to make it seem like I was anti-Michael Sam. Because Michael Sam was a beast. Michael Sam was a damn good player.
He was a beast in college for sure.
Now, but here's the thing. Michael Sam, as a gay black player, not getting as much in the way of attention. And it was also a different time. 5 years ago was still a different time.
Yeah.
I guarantee you, if Michael Sam were playing in the league now, had never come out, and then came out, I would like to think that the same people that are showing Carl Nassib all the love and appreciation would be doing the same for Michael Sam. I think the problem with Michael Sam is that he came out at a time that the NFL wasn't ready to accept that.
Yeah, it seemed like it's kind of like what I said with Damian Lillard. I think the past like couple years, and honestly maybe like 3 or 4 years, there's just been a lot of things where it's like, for example, like the average person, I don't think is like homophobic or anything. Like the average person, I don't think goes like, I hate gay people or like anything like that. Like, that's stupid.
I think your average person has a fear of people that are LGBTQ. And I think a lot of that fear comes from their own insecurities within their own sexuality.
I've never thought of it that way, but I guess my point is that there's a lot of people who hadn't really thought about it too much before, and then now I think in the past few years they've kind of been like forced to think about it, which I think is like a good thing. Like a realist, I've kind of always said, especially like since I started like studying politics and since I started like really thinking about these issues, it's kind of like it would suck if I had to like not tell people that I was straight or like hide my sexuality or like hide who I was. Like, so I just really would hate for anybody else to have to do that, really, no matter who it is.
Let me, and I'm going to use myself as a personal example for my point. Okay. Now, I am not shy about my history with sexual assault. I'm not as a victim because I feel that it took a lot of years and it took a lot for me to reclaim my power from it. But there was a long time that I had a lot of trouble with who I was as a person. And it made me, I was very, very, I was afraid of LGBTQ people. I was terrified because I didn't know who I was after what happened. And I was your typical meathead, meat bag, toxic male back in late 90s, early 2000s. You know, I would say, you know, F word this, F word that, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. And something happened that I think was probably the greatest thing for my personal development and growth as a human being. I got a job as a bouncer in a gay bar. I didn't know it was a gay bar when I went to get the job. And people still laugh at me to this day when I talk about it, like, how did you not know? And I said, I don't know. The rainbow flag, I didn't know what it meant. And I was so, when I found out what it was, I was like, all right, well, I was able to realize I needed to make money, so I didn't care. And I was just like, as long as nobody touches me, as long as nobody touches me. And the clientele at that bar, because I was only like 21 at the time, they treated me like a baby brother. And they helped me to learn a lot about myself and who I was as a person. And I took that as an additional bedrock and building block to become a better person. So I think that there are a lot of people that are afraid because they don't know where they are.
Yeah.
And they might even be harboring feelings that they have been told all of their lives were wrong. Mm-hmm. So what do? Oh, they lash out. And that doesn't make it okay. That actually makes it worse. It makes me feel bad for them as well as the people they're attacking. But I really think that, and as you said, I think we're at a time now where you can't just ignore people. Mm-hmm. You can't just pretend it's not there. You can't just pretend that the LGBTQ community doesn't exist. You can't just pretend that racial injustice doesn't happen. You can't just pretend that violence against women doesn't happen. You can't just pretend that it doesn't happen. The problem is that people that are pushing back, they feel like their own self-importance is now being diminished because they have to share. It's not all about them anymore.
I completely agree. And I mean, I've always thought it was such like the pushback against that stuff is always so, it's so like, I guess like trivial is the best way to put it. Like, why are you really like, why are you pushing against that stuff? Like, why are you pushing out for these movements where it's literally just like, for example, like the Me Too movement with sexual assault victims, like coming forward and sort of finally being able to say those things in a way that I guess like doesn't make them feel unsafe, like in a way that they're more comfortable. Like, why are you pushing back against that? In what world, in what way could that be a bad thing? And it's like, as far as like the LGBTQ stuff, the way I've seen it is I truly couldn't care less who someone sleeps with or doesn't sleep with. I truly
none of our business.
Couldn't care less. And I personally would hate, like I said before, hate to be told who I can and can't sleep with. And I would hate, so I wouldn't ever like hope that that's like projected on another group of people just because who they choose is different. And it's never really made sense to me because, I mean,
stupidity. It's absolute stupidity.
Sorry?
It's absolute stupidity, the people that do that, especially when they try to use the Bible. Sorry, the King James Version has been proven by historians to be wrong. They misquoted translations. They left things out. They picked and chose. If you really want to look at the Bible, you might want to look at the New Standard Version.
Well, the King James Version was written by King James.
And King James trying to start his own religion, and King James had his own agenda. King James was an idiot. And anyway, I want to circle away from this because we're so out of time. We're so over time. But real quick, you're a contact sports guy as well. You're a UFC guy. You're a combat sports guy. I think Dana White is a complete and utter asshole for what he's doing now with the interim heavyweight title bout between Derek Lewis and Cyril Gane. I think this is going to be a good fight, but I think essentially stripping down Francis Ngannou is a huge mistake. I think it's completely wrong. The guy just won the title. He should be able to take a break. He should be able to wait and rest and recuperate. Do you think this is Dana White trying to build up some sort of a super fight? Or do you think this is just Dana White drunk on his own power?
I think Dana White in general, and I'm actually not a huge UFC guy at all, but I think Dana White loves the headlines and the attention. I think that he only cares about the quality of his sport and his events insofar as it gets him good publicity or bad publicity. So I think that he he's really just like a bottom line guy to me. I don't know. Dana White's kind of a schmuck. I'm not a big Dana White guy. I think he's, like I said, he's always trying to get the headline and doesn't really care about the integrity of the sport. He just, wants to get his bag. So
no, I'm not disagreeing with you on that. I think that Francis Ngannou's probably. I would love to see a Francis Ngannou Derek Lewis fight. I think that would be an amazing war.
Mm-hmm.
But I think this is, and plus as a individual of Nigerian descent, it makes me very angry to see it makes me very, very angry to see this happen to a Nigerian fighter.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, whoever wins this fight probably gonna have to be careful because they're going to have a big, angry Nigerian looking for them after this fight is over. All right, that's all the time we've got this week for the Tanndemonium Sports Show. Cayne, thanks so much for filling in for Jefferson Legal, who we wish a very, very speedy recovery. Next week, who do we have coming on the show next week? You're the booker.
So if any of you guys have heard of Uncle Sam's Reject Project, he's a guy who streams NCAA 14. On his YouTube channel and does a bunch of dynasties, cool stuff like that. Search up Uncle Sam's Reject YT if you guys want to take a look on YouTube, and hopefully we're going to have him on next week. Haven't completely confirmed yet, but pretty sure 95%. And yeah, that'll be really cool. He's a really nice guy.
All right, cool. Oh, wait a second. You know what? I don't think so. I think we have to double check something because I think we were supposed to have Josh Taylor on next week.
Is it next week? Okay, yeah, I know we're talking.
I think you know what, Courtney. We'll get Courtney on the case. Courtney knows what to do. Courtney will reach out to Josh Taylor because I definitely want to see what's going on with the OTAs and blah blah blah. But I definitely, because I'll tell you the truth, Cayne, I've been wanting to get an Xbox 360 again so I could get NCAA 14. But
best football game ever.
It's the best college football game ever. I would love to get a 360 because I want NCAA 14 and I want NFL 2K5.
Yeah.
And I think I want to try to get one of the head coach games.
Yeah.
That's kind of where I'm at with that.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I don't know. Have you been watching real quick since we did do a little bit of gaming talk? Because have you been watching any of the stuff, the new Madden 22 stuff? Have you been seeing any of the videos on that?
Yeah, I'm not a very nice guy with Madden these days.
Neither am I.
So I don't actually think I'm going to buy Madden 22.
Why would you buy it? You have Game Pass, right?
Yeah, I don't think it's on Game Pass.
It's not going to be on Game Pass day one, I don't think. But why buy the game when you'll get it for free when the season ends?
When they show me that they can release something that's not the exact same game they released the year before, then I'll start buying Madden again. But for now, I'm just so frustrated with the game and them adding these stupid little bells and whistles instead of actually fixing the issues that people want fixed. Like I'm not gonna support it.
Yeah, I agree. I'm totally on board with you. I've played every Madden game since the very first Madden came out on Sega Genesis, and yeah, no bueno. Not a fan. Not fun. Don't like it. All right, guys. So we're going to talk to you next week. We're either going to have Josh Taylor on or we're going to be talking more gaming. Who knows? We'll see. Half the fun of this show is that even I don't know what the hell's going on. So with that being said, that's Cayne Lander. I'm Bryan Tann. We got Courtney, don't call the plumber, in the control room, getting pissed off that I'm going overtime yet again. So we'll be back next week. We'll be streaming live from Twitch TV. Go to twitch.tv/Vendetta Sports Media. And if you have an Amazon Prime account, give us a subscribe. We really appreciate it. Take care, guys. See you next week.